Well, hi, and welcome to the $1 Million Message. This is Senior Sales Director Jordan Eicher calling in with your Wednesday wisdom from Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, this isn't your first time listening to the $1 Million Message. Maybe you've listened to it for weeks now, maybe months now, maybe years now, and some of you maybe even a decade. But I love to share at least once a month words from our founder, Mary Kay Ash herself. And I like to do that because, it's important to keep her voice alive. It's important to continue to share her words in her way to all of the brand new beauty consultants and the more seasoned leaders in her company. Because after all, the company was her brainchild. It was her vision, and it was her dream come true, passed on to us. So Mary Kay tells a story of her own life, and she says, all of us can recount events that forever changed the course of our lives. Such an event for me that also affects you today was the first seminar of my sales career. The vision of what I could become was revealed to me at that meeting, and I have never lost sight of it. I had been with the Stanley Home Products Company in Houston only 3 weeks when they began talking about a convention to be held in Dallas. Perhaps like you now, I had every reason then not to go. Number one, it was not in my city, and I had never been that far from home. Number two, I had to be away for 3 days, and I had no one to care for my 3 children. And last, I didn't have the proper clothes to wear, and I didn't have the money for train fare, hotel, or food. But I was determined because at that time I was not successful, and I needed to be. At that point, I was the worst recruit they had ever had. My Stanley party average was $7, and we had to give each hostess a $4.95 mop and duster when we crossed her threshold. When you give away almost $5 and you only sell $7, you're in trouble. But I decided I had to go to that convention. However, there was a problem. The cost was $12, which covered a round-trip train fare and 3 days at the Adolphus Hotel. I went to every friend I had trying to borrow the money, and I lost a few in the process. Finally, one of my friends loaned me the money, but not without a sermon. You ought to stay home, she said, and spend that money on your children's shoes, not going off to a wicked convention like men attend. So I borrowed the money, and I made the necessary arrangements, feeling that surely I could learn from some of those who were successful how to become successful myself. I boarded the train wearing a hat that they laughed about for 10 years. I packed my only other dress in my Stanley case. I dumped out my products and used the case for luggage. They had not mentioned meals, so I put in a pound of cheese and a box of crackers, which was lucky because they didn't feed us. For the next 3 days, I lived on crackers and cheese. On the train, they sang songs like, Stanley, Stanley, all the time. And that's the slogan you'll hear, buzzing, buzzing in your ear. I was so embarrassed, I pretended not to be with them. But it was all worth it, because as I sat on a back seat in an auditorium, I watched them crown someone queen and give her an alligator bag. I decided that next year I was going to be queen. I heard several important things there, like hitch your wagon to a star, which meant find someone to emulate. Get a railroad track to run on, which meant find a plan to use. And tell someone what you're going to do. Commit yourself. I looked around and decided that of the several thousand people there, I would tell the president what I was going to do. I marched up to Mr. Frank Stanley Beveridge, one of the kindest, most benevolent men I have ever known, and said, Mr. Beveridge, next year I'm going to be the queen. He should have laughed at that funny-looking little girl in the hat, but he didn't. Instead, he took my hand, looked into my eyes, and said softly, somehow, I think you will. Those words changed my life. I could not let him down. From a $7 Stanley Party sales average, I advanced to be queen of sales the next year. This can happen to you too, no matter what you have come to do. I promise it will be a life-changing experience. You guys, the lessons in Mary Kay's words, the lessons in this story, from where she started to the dream that you see globally today that have impacted women in more ways than we could ever begin to tell. The obstacles she overcame, the judgments that she incurred. Oh my gosh, you guys, the obstacles that she went around, over, under, and through. And the belief of one person telling her somehow, I think you will. The training in this story. Find someone to emulate, get a plan, and commit yourself. Whatever it was that you needed to hear to spark your heart today from Mary Kay's words, I know God gave it to you. Think on them, dwell on them, and to honor Mary Kay Ash today, she always said to thank her for this fabulous opportunity. She wanted one thing in return, and that was for you to pass it on. I know that you are the girl for the job. God bless you, and I'll be back with you again next Wednesday. Bye-bye.